Coach Ron Polk. Started coaching in 1966 at Arizona. I was a head baseball coach, obviously at Mississippi State, Georgia, Mississippi State again, SEC champs, regular season champs 5 times, SEC tournament champ 5 times, 2-time National Coach of the Year. Dad, this guy got it done in
Ron
baseball.
Polk is absolutely the best. We couldn't have anybody on any better than him. He knows the rules. And the one thing about Ron Polk, he fights the rules. Everybody else runs in the closet and shuts the door, and he doesn't. He opens the door and sticks his nose out there and tells them what he thinks. And I think it's helped baseball. And he and I talked about it the other day. We've got this problem now. Everybody can come back to school. I'm going to let him kind of take it. I'll ask him a question, but he can go from where he wants to because he's a genius at this stuff. Good morning, Ron. How you doing?
Good morning, guys.
I don't know what your feelings are about everybody being eligible now, and on top of the people that they've signed, the people that were going to leave can come back if they wish to. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we got a lot of problems in every aspect of baseball right now, from the big leagues, the minor leagues, to amateur baseball, to high school ball, college ball. But this virus has kicked baseball in the butt here. But I think the NCAA, who I always said stands for no clue about anything, makes it so much more difficult for the national pastime, the second largest producer of revenue for NCAA championships, baseball, but with dead last and everything. Football gets, NCAA doesn't get a dime from football. They get the basketball is the big revenue producer with the venues and the TV. Baseball's right behind them. But we've been treated like crap for many, many years. Now it's coming back to haunt us with this virus because basically we're the only sport that has a roster size. You know, all sports, men and women, we have a roster size of 35. That was put in 12 years ago. I fought it big time. Everybody supported me to fight it, but everybody was afraid to attack the NCAA. But I'm not afraid because it's an evil organization, especially when it comes to baseball, and very, very bright people, but most of them don't have very much common sense. Well, this roster restriction was put in just for baseball, and now it's coming back to hurt us big time because of the fact that the NCAA basically is allowed now, because of the virus, the seniors to come back in all spring sports, which I think is a very good move. And the only thing they've allowed us to do in college baseball is, let's say, Alabama, Brad Bohannon has 3 seniors, and they all come back. Then the roster can go from 35 to 38. But what the NCAA didn't understand is the professional baseball draft. Everybody, especially has a good baseball program, has kids coming in, high school and junior college, that are also, potentially draftable, but professional baseball, that doesn't happen in any other sport.
Yeah.
And we lose them. And then we have the big problem is the juniors or the draft-eligible sophomores that are 21. They're draft-eligible, too. So you never know with 11.7 scholarships, that's all we have. Women's crew rowing a boat gets 20. I mean, men's ice hockey gets 18. And so basically what happens is Brad Bohannon, Alabama, might have 3 seniors coming back. He might have projected that he would lose a lot of juniors to professional ball. But right now it looks like there's only going to be 5 rounds instead of 40 in pro baseball, and that's only 150 kids. So he thought he'd lose some juniors, I'm sure. They're coming back. And then he has an influx of maybe 12, 13 new players. And the roster limit doesn't help him a bit. And so now he's going to have to start thinking about dumping kids. Tell the seniors 1 or 2 not to come back, and tell maybe some incoming kids not to arrive in Tuscaloosa. And this is the only sport that'll have that problem because we're the only sport that has a roster restriction. Thank you.
Ron, tell me why in the beginning do we only have 11.7? Is there why the baseball coaches didn't fight it besides you? Why we're down to that number?
Well, I guess we're a bunch of nice guys in baseball. You know, every time we write a letter to the NCAA, the first word is please instead of we demand, okay? We demand Title 10, okay? Title 9, and I don't ever blast Title 9. That was, the girls needed that so bad, but we're a highly discriminated sport. We have less coaches by far than any other sport, with less scholarships than any other sport. Less rosters, as we talked about. We have 7 sanctions no other sport has, and everybody was upset. But everybody couldn't do what I did. Thankfully, I was winning, and I had support from my president and athletic director. They didn't like me calling the NCAA a bunch of left-wing, liberal, politically correct nerds, but that's what they were, you know what I mean? And basically, I was on the attack there. Everybody else said, boy, I'd like to say that, but I'd lose my job because my president is on the NCAA, okay? And because of that, in baseball, many of them don't make a lot of money, and they basically felt like they couldn't stand up and fight. And so I became the attack dog, which I'm glad I did, but at the same time I lost. That's why I retired from Mississippi State with 3 years left of my contract. Went over to UAB, helped one of my former coaches, Brian Shoup, as a volunteer. And then I coach up in the Cape Cod League in the summer. And we just lost the Cape Cod League 4 days ago. 300 young men, best players in the country, can't play summer ball up in the Cape Cod. And that's a thing that makes it real difficult for us today.
We're talking with Coach Ron Polk. Coach, explain to the listener maybe the difference between the Alabama job with no hope scholarship, only 11.7, that's all he's got, compared to Vanderbilt. I don't know what Vanderbilt's doing. You probably do, how they can have a lot more, it seems like, or Georgia, where they do have the Hope scholarships. These people that think Brad Bohannon should start winning right away, he doesn't have the same job as these other people do as far as the guys he can have getting aid, does he?
Absolutely not. Of course, Mississippi State doesn't have. We have a lottery in Mississippi. It's only K through 12. For 2 years in between coming back and forth to Mississippi State, I was head coach at Georgia, and I thought I was cheating. I think we had in-state scholarship plus books, and when you have so few scholarships, every little amount of money is precious. And what Vanderbilt does, and my good buddy Tim Corbin, perfectly legal. That's the stupidity of the NCAA. They're not coaches, the people who make these rules. They're presidents, very smart, but they don't understand that basically academic aid is very important to help subsidize 11.7, but Vanderbilt being an endowed school, I was on the USA baseball staff 7 times, traveling the world with Stanford kids, and I'd always ask them what kind of scholarship their boys are on. They said, oh, everybody's on a full. I said, whoa, that's great, because they get endowed scholarships, perfectly legal, and we don't have that at Alabama. No, Brad and Butch Thompson at Auburn, and Brian Shoup at UAB. We don't have a prayer with we're surrounded by these lottery-based scholarships. Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, and we don't have that. So Brad's 11.7 is exactly that. So that forces college coaches to have to dump kids based on performance. And I've never done that at Mississippi State, never will do it. We don't do that at UAB. But in order to win in the SEC, you could ask Mitch Gaspard, Dad, my good friend, and you got to be cruel to kids, because 11.7 doesn't cut it when you have 35 guys from your roster. But also at 11.7, we used to have unlimited when I first started coaching, and then we went to, I think, 30, then we went to 19, then we went to 13, and then when they said take 10% off 13 for baseball, it became 11.7. And that's all we have. So the average scholarship in baseball is about 35%. But they also tell us how many can be on scholarship, 27, and then 8 can be walk-ons. And they also tell us we're the only sport that we have to give a minimum of 25%. I mean, I don't mind rules, but we have 7 rules and sanctions no other sport has, and that roused me up, and I think it roused the Sanderson family up too.
Yes,
have you ever had anybody at all in the NCAA besides yourself that's on the board or whatever, or the head guy that has tried to fight this and to try to get it back to reasonable, or they just thrown the towel in?
Well, the biggest problem we have with is this, and we're definitely a geographical sport, like men's ice hockey is, okay? We're basically the power conferences for baseball, the ACC, SEC, Big Ten. Well, Big Ten's the fire conference. Pac-10 out on the West Coast and the Big 12. And so what happens is the ones up north, and they're doing a much better job building stadiums and getting support, but they have the weather problems. They can't make any money. They can't draw crowds like LSU and Mississippi State and Ole Miss and others in the SEC. And so basically they get one vote. And so when it comes up to should we have graduate assistants in baseball, this is something that's so important. We used to have 2 at Mississippi State, entry-level position for the young coach get their master's degree, but we just bring that up. The northern schools will vote it down because they can't afford it, okay? So if you have 11.7, there's schools up in maybe Michigan, Ohio, Maine, Division I, that their presidents and ADs in baseball are saying, we don't want the SEC to get any more. We'd like to have more than 11.7, but we can't afford it because we're just not a big baseball school.
But they vote against it and use the weather as the reason, correct?
That's exactly right.
What you mentioned, being able, if they had, 6 seniors, they all want to come back. Now you got a roster of 41, but they won't pay a third assistant. So it's hard for, you don't have enough coaches out there to even coach these guys properly, do you? And then I see these football guys, the salaries that these guys are making. There's got to be a way to pay a third assistant in their coach.
Well, that's not good either. Getting back real quick before I answer your question, football gets 6 graduate assistants. Baseball gets none. Women's crew rowing a boat gets 1. We get none. You don't think we've been taken advantage of, even though we're the second largest producer of revenue for NCAA championships? But, we lost the vote for the third assistant, which is basically why we lose votes. We have the American Baseball Coaches Association. I'm the former president of all the coaches. 4 of my former coaches at Mississippi State are former presidents of the ABCA. 5 Mississippi State coaches have been the president of all the coaches. Yeah, we still can't make any progress, but when the third assistant came up, we lost the vote. I predicted we would because they made the SEC the sponsor. You don't make the SEC a sponsor of legislation if you want to win, because everybody's jealous in regard to baseball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a baseball legislation, SEC, and so it scared the heck out of all the other conferences. They said, no, we don't want to give them because we can't afford a third assistant, okay? And so that's why we lost. Plus, we tied it in with softball. Everyone thought that was good. But our coach-player ratio is 12.5 to 1, and the next closest one in athletics is 6.5 to 1. And it got voted down probably because if softball got another coach, their ratio went down to 3 to 1, 3 players to 1 coach. And I don't think the athletic directors want that to happen. So I think the people made a mistake having the SEC sponsor it. If you want to pass any baseball legislation, you get some small conference that no one ever heard of to support it, okay?
Yeah, good point, Dad.
Tell our listeners the hard work that you put into getting Mississippi State where it is today. And you're behind the whole deal. And it's not any doubt about it. They got great facilities and great baseball program, and it's because of you and your hard work. You got disgusted with a lot of things. But talk about your start, how you sort of got that thing off the ground.
Well, I got the job in December 1975, just inherited the ball club from Jimmy Bregan, and first season, 76, and had a good season, but not a great season. But I knew that in order to win in the SEC, you had to really build facilities. We were not in very good shape facility-wise in the Southeast Conference in 1976. And would you believe that I was the first full-time head baseball coach at the SEC that did not have another coaching responsibility in the athletic department? So many of them were football recruiters, ticket manager, equipment man. I mean, in fact, the coach at Kentucky, Tuffy Horn, was an insurance man working for $7,500, the head coach at Kentucky. And so we had someone to advantage, but I felt like I just came from the junior college program, Miami-Dade. We need to bring in some JUCOs quick to turn this thing around. And that's what I did. And I got some good ones, and all of a sudden we started winning and winning. And we started doing some promotions, and we got a radio network. We ended up with 24 stations of radio networks. No one ever had that. We're the first one to get a tarp. We got the lights. We started, building a stadium, a good one, a Goody Noble Field, and then all of a sudden the fans kept coming. No promotions at all. Would not allow a promotion. And we're a state, there's nothing else going on. We only have a AA Mets affiliate. It was Mets time in Jackson. So basically everybody rallies around Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Mississippi State, and Delta State, and the universities. So we started winning, and the crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we had to put them in the outfield where the lounge came in, and it just kept going and going and going. And, just the fact that we brought in nice players, and I had a good staff of coaches and surrounded them with managers and trainers, and we pushed the button, and the FCC schools said, hey, Mississippi State and LSU are making some money now in baseball. We got to do the same thing, and that's when the stadiums got built. And thankfully, we got some great coaches with in FCC baseball, and starting to make a little bit of money now, much more than we made many years ago. And so baseball is a big factor in the SEC, but the NCAA, I don't think they particularly care about the NCAA. I know they don't care about me at all, but I could care less, because somebody needs to stand up and fight these ridiculous sanctions that we have in baseball. And this virus has really, as I said earlier, kicked us in the butt with this roster restriction. And now with only 5 rounds in the draft, it looks like it's going to really be a big factor for, I think, most of the SEC schools have 4, 5, 6 guys they think are going to be drafted, and they're not, and they want to go ahead and play summer ball, and there's not many summer baseball opportunities to go. But it's just so sad that these coaches have to make a decision real quick. Did I tell a couple seniors not to come back? Do I tell some incoming players? Now, the incoming guys, these high school kids and junior college kids, they're seeing the writing on the wall. They thought they may get some playing time at Alabama or Mississippi State or LSU, and now the seniors are coming back, okay? And the draft-eligible guys all returning, and they're probably saying to Mom and Dad, Mom and Dad, I got to get out of here. I want to play early, so they may go to a junior college or something like that. That may solve a little bit of the problem, but that's the biggest problem we have in college baseball right now: scholarships and the roster restriction. Yes.
Yeah, junior college baseball is probably about to get really, really good. What's your feeling on? I have a son. He's an 8th grade kid, left-handed kid. Got a chance, I think, to be decent. What's your feeling on travel baseball? And do the schools do a lot of recruiting out of these travel organizations?
Well, travel ball, I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot. I did 41 high school and junior college and college banquets last year in the winter. Did cut back a little bit to 33. I don't charge anybody anything to speak, no gas, no fee. I bring some of my baseball books, my textbooks, but anyway, I deal with these kids all the time. These handshake agreements these coaches have now in college baseball with the 8th and 9th graders is criminal. It should never happen, but it's perfectly illegal. But travel ball is good. Now, I go down to Dominican Republic every year. I was talking about going to Dominican Republic every year, 12 years down there with Score International, doing baseball clinics all over the island. And they don't have travel ball down there because they don't need uniforms. They don't need participation trophies. They don't need anything, great playing fields. They're outside playing all day. But if we didn't have travel ball now, the kids don't play like we did when we were young, just choose up sides, because we got the social media, we got the cell phones, we got the video games and PlayStations and whatever they call them. The Dominicans don't have that. That's why they're kicking our butt. I hate to use that term, but they're kicking our butt in pro baseball. It's an island of 11 men. They got 22% of everybody in pro ball are Dominicans right now, and it's going to go up 2% every year. And so that's fine. It's a great island, great people. But anyway, travel ball is good as long as the coaches care about the kids, develop their talent. The main thing, not stressing winning. And but we need to have travel ball. Kids today have to have a uniform. They have to have trophies. They have to have an organization. They have to have structure. And because they're not going to go out and play baseball by themselves, because it's tough to find 9 other guys to join a team on their own.
Well,
Coach, it's been great stuff.
Great stuff, Rob. We appreciate so much you being on. I hope I can run into you again. We can visit sometime. Are you coming back to UAB at all?
Yeah, I go year number 13 with Brian Shoup, but I enjoyed a lot of full-time, got an office, and then coach up in the Cape. At least I did coach up in the Cape Cod until they cut that. Yeah, that's another big problem we have. There's 26 summer leagues, and 2 have already bit the dust, and the rest of them are hanging by a thread right now. It's going to be at a point there may not be any summer baseball for any college in America this year. How sad that is.
That is sad.
Well,
Coach,
thank you
very much for your time. Appreciate you.
It. Thank
okay, you bet. Thank you.